Aromagees Botanica, a metaphysical store for mind, body, and spirit. Oils, herbs, candles, crystals, teas, handmade soaps, tarot cards, everything you need on your magical journey. Daily psychic and tarot readings, classes, witchcraft, pagan, and hoodoo supplies, most of it made in-house. Try our free Dress Your Own candle station. From spiritual gifts to ritual supplies to religious books, we have the widest selection of metaphysical products in all of Tennessee since 1999. It is our goal to inspire everyone to explore their spirituality in their own way by offering information and products in a nurturing multicultural environment. Open 7 days a week. 223 Donaldson Pike, Nashville, Tennessee, or visit us online at aromagees.com.
A hand-carved natural quartz crystal ball made into a necklace for divination on the go. Crystal balls have been used for centuries in healing and cleansing rituals, as well as for divination. The sphere represents infinity and the circle of life. While a wand uses focused energy, the crystal ball sends out energy in all directions. This makes it a great resource for discovering the complete circumstances surrounding a question.
Welcome to the Conscious Radio Network's YouTube channel. Become enlightened, have fun, and tell all your friends and family to share with everyone they know. You can find us on Facebook and stay up to date on our Facebook group, or find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our podcasts can be found on Libsyn, iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcast, and more. Most of all, remember to go to our official website at consciousradionetwork.com for podcasts, hosts, future shows, and scheduling. We also want to welcome our international audience. Don't stop now. Enjoy the community. Subscribe today.
This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be on this spaceship we call Earth. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network's weekly podcast series, The Seance. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Paul Meckes. If this is your first time tuning in, please click subscribe, like, follow, share, comment. Also follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts. The Enneagram of Personality. Our guest is a lifetime spiritual seeker, healer, teacher, and offers life readings for his clients. Astrology and the Enneagram of Personality are the main modalities that he shares. He's been studying astrology and spirituality for 50 years. He first learned of the Enneagram of Personality in 1999 and uses these modalities individually and in combination. His focus is to help clients to waken up to who they really are. He works to help people live beyond their conditioned stories and to live more in the moment. Let's welcome to the show for the first time, Indra Rinzler. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much, Paul, for having me.
Very, very, very welcome. How did this all start for you? This life journey?
I suppose the sperm and the ovum, huh? My father got back from the war. That's how it started.
Yeah. Yep. There you go. Yeah.
But I think you're talking about the spiritual journey.
Yeah, the spiritual journey. How did this first? What was the trigger? Was it childhood? What triggered it? That you could remember.
Well, the thing is I just sort of made a joke about my parents, but the fact is that my reality is that my parents passed on when I was 22 and 24. They each died of natural causes 2 years apart, both in the same month, 2 years apart. And so there I was, 24, and I had, gotten some inheritance, and I was completely free. And I had moved to the West Coast, And I had gotten a menial job, but the fact was that I wasn't any good at the menial job, and I didn't really need to do it. And so I stopped that. And really what came to me was is that I needed to find myself. I don't know what we used in 1970 as
Yeah.
far as what I said, but I needed to become happy. I needed to find myself. I needed to know who I was. And I just went on a, step-by-step process. We started going to metaphysical bookstores in Berkeley. And there was a famous Shambhala bookstore there, and we bought metaphysical books and we started reading them. We didn't know anything; it wasn't well known at the time. We had natural foods,
Yeah.
organic foods was like starting, and that was like a big deal. And so just one step led to the next step led to the next step, and I'm still stepping.
Yeah.
Step by step. I don't have a plan. You only need to know the first step. You don't need to know the last step.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the combination of it's a multi-step system. It's just you never. And as I was always told, you don't be concerned on what's ahead of you. Concentrate on what is happening now, and embrace it. That in being in that moment, because that is what you have to learn from.
And the thing is no matter what level you're on, that's true and important.
Yeah, yeah.
And whether you're Dalai Lama, or whether you're neophyte, don't know anything, housewife, mechanic, it doesn't matter. Not to equate those, but whatever your position is, lowly in life, if it's a lowly position, it doesn't matter. It's the same truth. It's the same necessity. And of course, the thing is that you can understand it at different levels. It means different things to you based on your experience. But the truth is that you have to not worry about the future. You have to just deal with right now, right here, right now.
Mm-hmm.
And in right here, right now, there is nothing to heal. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to accomplish. There's nothing to be. There's only letting go of anything that you're holding that's blocking your ability to be in this moment, right here, right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get into now the astrology. Mentioned something about the Vedic astrology. When did you first start getting into learning the astrology and starting to implement it, especially the Vedic? Because I meant Vedic is quite an interesting.
Okay. Well, okay. So I started with astrology in 1970 or 71. When we went to these bookstores, there were astrology books. And perhaps because I was mathematical as a child, the astrology had interest to me. So I explored it, and I explored it really deeply for, let's say, 4 years. And I kind of got to a place where I didn't really know how to take it further. Again, it was before computers, it was before internet. And by then I was living in a rural area in Oregon, and I had kind of taken it as far as I could understand. It had taken me as far as I could understand as I wanted to go at that particular point. I wanted to go further, but I didn't know how. So now let's fast forward 20 years. My kids are now getting grown. I'm living now 20 years in a spiritual community that's dedicated to an Indian teacher, and astrology starts coming up. And of course, by then it's Vedic astrology, being Indian rooted. The astrology we talked about was Vedic astrology. And so, 95 to 99, I started shifting over to Vedic. And the weekend, I don't want to jump ahead here, but the weekend that I first met the Enneagram in 1999, like you said in your introduction, that weekend I realized that I really wanted to share the astrology, that there was some aspects in there that I really wanted to be able to share with people, because I felt it to be of real importance. And so it took another 12 to 15 years. I met a teacher who taught me at that time in 99, taught me how Enneagram and astrology work together. He taught me a system that he had intuited. And it took about another 12, 14 years deepening. I'd already been on the path for almost 30 years at this point, at the beginning in 99, but it still took another 12 or 15 years of inner work and of study and of, in India, there's a teaching, nete, not this, not that, you don't know what it is, but you know what it isn't. So it took a long time of going deep until the planets aligned that it was my time. And the last 10 years has been more dedicated to an intense study and reading spread over a number of years, and then finally being ready to a way of teaching the astrology, a way of sharing the astrology that was what I wanted to do, because most of the astrology I was not particularly attracted to, because it takes our power away. It's limiting. It finds faults and then it gives you some possible solutions.
Yeah.
It files problems and possible solutions. Interesting. The lights just went out. I don't know why.
That is weird.
I wonder if they're on a timer.
It's probably it's probably a motion.
So I don't know what you want me to do.
I tell you what, that's a very cool picture.
Okay, there we go. Thank you for that. There's a teaching right there.
Right.
And so I started, and so that my thing I wanted to share is that I had to express it my own way, and I mostly was saying, well, I don't really agree with that. I don't really agree with that, and it took a long time for it to become clear what was my own way. And I did a post on a Facebook group. I think it was It was Enneagram, not astrology. It doesn't really matter. And somebody said, well, where did you get that idea? And I said, well, I've been using that idea a long time, and where I got it from is the same place I get any of the ideas, any of the information, wherever it comes from, that source, that's the one that gave me this information. And most people don't do well with that because they want it to be, they want it to be sourced. They want it to be, if somebody says it's true, then it has a truth. And I kind of don't believe that.
Yeah.
That's not how I live my life.
Yeah, it's having some sort of something to back it up, some doctor or some sort of like an establishment or something like that. It's
right, authority.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Let me for those who are going to be just listening, they can find you at www.indrarinzler.com. We'll go back to that a little bit, but let me bring up your website here, because that way we can discuss the three maps, maps to conscious living. And right there, you got the astrology, the Enneagram, and the Wheel of Totality. Which one do you want to start with first?
I want to start with, Paul, the one that you want to start with.
There we go. Let's start. Let's start with the Enneagram.
Okay, good. And in fact, that's the one in the live reading, when I do all three, that's in fact the one I start with.
Awesome. Cool. So how does without giving away any secrets and stuff like that, how does this compare, or how does this differ from what we are used to as far as our astrological chart and our zodiacs?
You're talking about the Enneagram or the
Enneagram? Yeah.
Okay, so how does it differ from astrology?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the Enneagram of personality, the Enneagram comes from Greek. It isn't a Greek teaching, but the word comes from Greek, and it means nine-sided figure. And the diagram that you see there is three geometric shapes that are combined. There's a circle for unity. There's a triangle there at the 369 point. That's called the law of three. This is Gurdjieff's teaching. And then there's a thing called a hexag, which I like to say it's like a fancy Staples paperclip, and it's got 6 points there. The point 5, 7, 8, 1, 2, and 4, and it's representative of the law of seven, which is that everything is impermanent.
Yeah.
And so the teaching is that there are 9 personality types, and that we have one of them at our core. And why it's important is because when we understand what our core personality is, we can understand our triggers, and then we can thus get to the moment. I like to say it's an incredible psychological tool to help us to know ourselves better, and also to have more compassion for other people and have more compassion for ourselves. But psychology doesn't really have an end game other than observing behavior. But as a spiritual tool, it is incredibly unique because it gives us an unbiased view of ourselves and helps us to get back to the moment, which is the goal of spirituality, is to be in the moment. It gives us the core triggers. And I do believe that these 9, while it's a archetypal personality typing system, I believe that is the archetypal system that unwinds the 5,000 years of the Judeo-Christian conditioned stories. It helps us to unwind those in order to come back into the neutral place that everything is.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm going to be jumping around, but try to stay on, because you gave, I got a lot of questions.
So go ahead. I can jump around with you.
So you mentioned there's 4 doorways, 4 doorways to conscious living. Can you explain
Right. Yes. Okay. This is jumping around. So what I say is, at the end of a reading, people say, well, this is great information, Indra. Now, what do I do with that? Now, I'm not saying that people say that, but they kind of say it with their eyes. So they say, what do I do with this? So I say, here, there's the 4 doorways to conscious living. So the first doorway is you have to learn to observe. You need to watch your own thinking and your own behavior. You need to watch your reaction to other people's thinking and behavior. You need to get out of the movie of your life into the audience and watch yourself from a distance, from a perspective distance, in order to be able to come into the moment as to what's happening. So learning to observe is the first doorway. The second doorway is to let go and release what doesn't serve you. Letting go involves being aware of a feeling,